All right, let's take a call.
Hello, this is Mitch from Houston.
Mitch from Houston, what's on your mind?
Hey, I guess this is somewhat of a, I don't know, galaxy brain take, but when we were looking at the hospital bombing from early in the Israel's assault, the Al-Hi hospital.
Yes, there's been some new information that's come out about that. Go on.
Yeah, I saw Ryan Grimm posted something about it. Yes. Anyways, it reminded me of everyone's favorite topic, the early COVID, when people had these death tolls that were, a couple 100,000 maybe, and people were, in the maybe more reactionary media were all aghast, like, oh, we couldn't possibly reach that high. It's not that big of a deal. And at this point, we're past 1 million deaths, and nobody seems to even comment on it. And it's the same thing with this hospital assault.
That's a great analogy.
Where they bombed this hospital, and now it's gotten to the point where civilian infrastructure, especially hospitals, have been completely, there's nothing left as far as I know. And it's not even commented on, like, oh, this hospital that we said, oh, it's impossible that Israel would bomb a hospital without good reason, And now it's to the point where no one even says anything. It's like, oh, well, it's just how it is. I don't know.
Well,
what?
Yeah, we'll say something here. We'll put this up because you are on point here. This is an analysis that was done by Forensic Architecture, and they've had a good track record in the past where they do these kinds of wartime forensics. This is the thread that was released and the research that was released over the weekend, I guess on Friday, actually. Our latest findings in the Al-Ali hospital blast. Using 3D trajectory analysis, we dispute the Israeli military's claim that the hospital was struck by a misfiring Palestinian rocket from a salvo of 17, with most of the damage caused by unspent rocket propellant. Our analysis shows that all 17 rockets traveled 1.8 to 2 kilometers at 500 to 630 meters per second and stopped flaring at 1 kilometers altitude, 4 kilometers west of Al-Ali, according to an aerospace expert. These figures indicate that all rockets would have finished burning their propellant while still in mid-flight. These recent findings follow our previous analysis, which debunked claims made by an Israeli spokesperson about 2 videos he alleged showed the rocket responsible for the hospital blast. The devastating explosion at Al-Ali hospital has come to epitomize the information war surrounding Israel's post-October 7th invasion of Gaza. Using our 3D model, we will continue to track the dynamic airspace over Gaza to challenge key pieces of Israeli disinformation. So we still don't have a smoking gun that indicates that it was an Israeli bomb. But this is yet another claim about that particular explosion at the outset of their assault on Gaza, where they've now, as you say, Mitch, they have destroyed or damaged every hospital in the Gaza Strip, and they clutch their pearls at that moment. Even that original case, the information that came out, the forensics make it clear that they were not being truthful about the information that they released. And if you recall, they released audio that purported to show the Hamas attackers plotting this hospital false flag or whatever.
Stuff they've been fabricating, literally. It's not just that things that they were wrong.
Hoax.
Yeah, literal hoaxes.
That was disproven within hours, and they had to take it down because it was just not actually what was being discussed. They're quantity over quality with the propaganda, but as you say, everyone took it at face value and moved on.
Because they just want an object to point to. It's not actually about rationalizing about it. It's like, oh, look over there.
Right.
In my opinion, that bombing was when most people, at least international audiences, kind of held their breath like, oh my God, like, what are they doing? And, once they were able
they needed something.
Dispel it, people just moved on. And then now it's gotten to the point where, nobody paying attention would believe that they're not attacking hospitals. That's obviously false. But they've gotten over that hump of people being aghast. I guess the final point I wanted to make before y'all let me go is just that in similar to COVID, they've basically dismantled any ability for people to take an accurate measurement of the actual human cost of these. I mean, it's a lack of action versus a direct action of bombing people, but, you know, it's still similar that, you know, we've dismantled, you know, our domestic ability to accurately count COVID deaths. And I think it's a similar thing is happening in Gaza. You know, despite their best efforts, you know, you can only do so much when medical professionals are being targeted.
And an entire society is in rubble. Like, what does this specific net right now death count even mean when everyone's still displaced and starving?
Yeah, and the mechanisms to count it are completely gutted. The same way that it's just been to further your analogy, deprioritized in this country from the Democratic administration.
Yeah, and you know, let's be clear about the evidence we played. Like, I like there's different types of evidence, and for my mind, the circumstantial evidence with regards to the hospital thing was always clear. It was always probably Israel, because guess what? That turned out to be predictive because they have continued to bomb hospitals. So it turns out I was right. I
was right too.
Exactly, we were right. Exactly. The forensic thing, like, to me, it's like it is always unclear. But so, like, when it came out that, it proves Israel's right, then you shouldn't freak out, because like that's all that stuff of like trajectories and stuff. I saw this with JFK assassination. That stuff is all very, you can make strong cases one or the other. When I was on jury duty, I literally heard a case where you had two different audio experts come in and say, that is that person's voice on the thing. No, that isn't that person's voice on the thing. They both had the same kind of credentials, right? Like so forensic evidence, I think, is tougher. But the circumstantial evidence was always extremely clear, and anybody who wasn't very definite about that was doing cover for Israel.
Yeah, I mean, there are always things that people say about forensic being basically junk science. So I take all that with a massive grain of salt.
But nonetheless, like, as we say, like, those hospitals are in rubble now, and it's not because all of these rockets kept misfiring. Please.
Well, and it's like you said, circumstantial evidence. Like, how? I mean, the explanation was an accident, but I mean, it wouldn't make sense for Hamas to target themselves. You know, and I know this is just random people online, but now people are saying that these kids that are found with sniper wounds, dead. That was probably Hamas targeting them. It's like, what these people? I mean, Hamas needs the civilians there to support them in some way. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for, No.
It's dehumanization.
Yeah. It's also projection, because Israel is, according to one of the family members of the hostages, employing the Hannibal Directive on the hostages, meaning they are, because Netanyahu and the Israeli government, well, Netanyahu needs the war to stay in power, and two, the Israeli government wants to take Gaza and also do this genocide. They need, further justification on that front. So they don't necessarily need the hostages back. So they'll kill anything that moves, to borrow from Nick Turse. But appreciate the call, Mitch. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for taking my comment.